What's up YouTube, I'm NZ and welcome to this Logic Pro X 10.5 training course where we cover all of the basics to get you up and running with the latest 10.5 update. If you're new here and you want to start from the beginning, you can click on the link that is appearing somewhere above my head right now. If you saw the last episode, you'll know that we covered downloading and installing Logic. Pretty straightforward, right? If you stayed to the end of the last video, I mentioned that we would be looking at different track types. Well, I changed my mind. We're going to do that in the next video. This week we're going to be navigating the main window in Logic Pro, searching for all the hidden treasures that lay on the surface. So batten down the hatches, hoist the Jolly Roger. Oh, yeah. Hoist the Jolly Roger and let's set sail. Here we have the window to the new world, bringing its own dangers and peril, with mountains of treasure waiting to be plundered. Okay, no, I can't keep that up. So this is the main Logic window. Let's take a look at the bar at the top. Starting from the top left, we have the library button, which will open a panel that allows us to load patches and presets for the tracks we have selected. We can select a few and see what happens to the guitar track I've already set up. Alright, sounds great. But if we want to close the window, we can just click the button and close that panel. The next button is the inspector button. By default it is already turned on. So if I click it, you can see that the track information related to the track I have selected in the main window disappears. There's a lot of things that we can change in this window, such as the volume of the track. And you'll notice that after selecting a patch in the previous window, some audio effects have been loaded onto the track. We'll go into a bit more detail on this later. The next button is the Quick Help button, which if you're completely new to Logic, I recommend turning on. This activates a window that will give you information on anything your cursor moves over. If you want more information on a certain area of Logic, you can press Command and /, and a new window will pop up with more detailed information. Over from that is the Toolbar button. This reveals a hidden panel that gives you access to more tools and key functions that you'll be using in later videos. On from that, we have the Smart Controls button, which will open and close a window that contains quick access to some of the effects we loaded in earlier. Notice how I can control the amp and also the reverb on the guitar from here. Next up, we have the Mixer button, which brings up all of the tracks in the project we're working on, for you to change volume, pan tracks, or add and edit effects. Think of this as the inspector button we looked at, but instead of only showing you the track we have selected, you can see all of the tracks in the whole project, which is super useful when you start mixing a song. One over from that, we have the editors button, which gives you access to editing tools for the files or clips that you've selected in the main window. Here you can see the guitar track file we have has loaded up, and if I select the MIDI track I've loaded in the main window, you can see that the MIDI notes start to appear. This allows you to change, remove, or add notes. So that's the top left of the screen done. Now let's move to the middle section. The next few buttons should be fairly self-explanatory, but let's quickly run through them. First up, we have a rewind and fast forward button, which will move my playhead left or right. Then we have the go to the beginning button, which resets your playhead back to the beginning. Then we have the play button, which when activated gives you access to the drop anchor button. Next we have the record button, which tells Logic to record to the tracks you've selected. And after that, the loop button, which activates and deactivates the loop bar you can see on the project. This big main window tells us what the tempo is, what beat of what bar we have the playhead on, and also gives you the project BPM, or beats per minute. It also gives you the time signature and key that the project is currently set to. You can also customize this if you would prefer to see your project measured in time rather than bars and beats. Moving on, the button next to that looks like a shield with a cross through it. This allows you to replace existing recordings with a new recording. On from there, we have the pitchfork, which once clicked brings up the tuner so you can check the tuning of your guitar or bass. Always tune your guitar. The 1, 2, 3, 4 button is the counting button. If you have this selected, Logic will count you in before you start recording. It's pretty handy because it gives you a couple of seconds from hitting the record button to you having to play. It also gives you a feel for the incoming tempo. Talking of tempo, the next button is the metronome button. Some people have a love-hate relationship with it. Turn it on and you'll get clicks that help you stay in time when you're recording. In different situations, you might turn this on or off, but I always recommend playing to a metronome when you're practicing to help you with your timing. There's a big project volume slider. I have no idea why they put it there. There's so many other ways to change the volume of your audio in Logic. You don't need to use this project volume slider, like never. Okay, last few buttons. This first one with the dots and lines is the project list editor. In here you'll find all sorts of information about the files you have in your project. See, there's the two we have loaded. You can see a list of any markers you have, any tempo changes, time signature changes. To be honest, it's a really boring button, and I don't mind if you completely gloss over it in the beginning. Next is the really useful but usually completely overlooked Notes tab. Here you can add notes to the project. This could be general notes like need to add a chorus or song needs more energy. You also have track notes where you can add notes to the track you have selected so you remember to go back and make changes. Or if you've handed the project to someone else, they can have a look for themselves. The next button is the loop library where you'll find all of the stock Apple loops. It has a great browser built into it, allowing you to find loops based on instrument type, genre, key, and tempo. If we select guitar and scroll down a little bit, we can see that guitar loop we used earlier on. You'll also notice that some of the loops are grayed out. This is the additional content we talked about in the introduction. If you click the little down arrow, it's easy enough to download the content and have it available in the library. Last is the media button. Here you can search your computer to find samples and files to easily import into the project you're working on. Think of it as your Mac's Finder window, but conveniently placed in Logic. So that's the top bar done. Let's concentrate on the big main window in the middle. Here you can see all of the tracks you have loaded in your project and quickly access the volume controls, pan dial, and mute and solo buttons. As we saw earlier, your playhead or time moves from left to right, and the lines indicate bar divisions. It's easy enough to resize the work area by using the sliders at the top right of the main window. There's also the new grid system, which if you checked out some of the templates you might have seen. We'll definitely be going into some more detail in future videos. Okay, so this week's question is, what sort of music do you want to start creating? Tell me the genre of music you want to create, or even the artists that you want to try and replicate, and I might be able to guide the future video content on your replies. This week's homework is to download the project we used today. It's available in the description below and will get you ready to download the projects for future episodes. You might even want to re-watch the video with the project open so you can follow along. Okay, that's it for this week. If you want to get notified when the next video in this series drops, hit the subscribe button. Also, popping up over there somewhere should be the previous video in the series and a video all about the desk that I put together that you can see in the background. Alright, thanks for watching and keep safe out there. アイスと